He was called a failure his entire life. It turns out he actually cracked the code on how the human mind makes change and manifests change. His name was Austin Osman Spare. He lived among cats in a damp South London flat and sold paintings off of pub walls. He died in 1956, almost totally forgotten, and he was a really powerful mind in the realms of chaos magic. He was an artist, occultist, and philosopher of the unconscious. Recently, I have been diving into several of his writings and have found a lot of really interesting elements in there about how to work with the psyche and the subconscious mind in order to manifest desires and your true will of what you want to have happen in your life. And in this video, I'm going to tell you a little bit about him and what his teachings reveal about how the mind works and how to best work with it to get the visions and ideas and things that you actually want to see happen in your life working on a subconscious level where they're able to bypass the conscious mind that oftentimes is full of contradictions that keep us from actually having what we want in life. Manifestation is a really popular topic right now, and a lot of people out there will tell you, oh, just write down everything you want and then think about it every day and envision yourself having it. Well, that doesn't really tend to work because the problem is that our conscious mind, like I said earlier, is full of contradictions. So we think, okay, I want to manifest a new career. I want to have a new job. So I'm going to write down everything that I like about or want to have in this job. And I'm going to write down exactly what it would look like, exactly what it would feel like. Sure, this can be good. However, the conscious mind then, as you're thinking about all of these things, is going to think, oh, wait a minute, am I really deserving of this thing? What if it doesn't work out? What if this job isn't what I wanted it to be? And then you're starting to undermine your intention, your will, and the potential manifestation through that conscious thought. So Austin Osman Spare had a really cool technique and technology around how to work with this in a new way that is now used by modern hypnotherapists, by dream workers, and by chaos magicians. He basically invented a mind hack decades before science caught up. So first, let's talk a little bit about who he was. He was born in Snow Hill near Smithfield Market in London. His dad was a City of London police officer, and he was a prodigy as far as the arts went. He got a scholarship to the Royal College, and at age 17, he was one of the youngest exhibitors ever at the Royal Academy Summer Exhibition. So he was set up to be an establishment darling, but that did not happen. Early on, he had a brief stint with Aleister Crowley, who's another very famous occultist and magician. However, he hated the hierarchy of that system and the systems of the old occult magic, and so he bailed and he went fully into DIY mysticism instead. A fun fact about him is that Jimmy Page of Led Zeppelin reportedly owns the largest collection of his work in the world, so he is very influential nowadays. And he mapped the mind in a very specific way. He had two core concepts, the Zos and the Kia. The Zos, spelled Z-O-S, was the physical body, total lived experience, and conscious will. The Kia is the primal consciousness underneath everything, awareness before ego, language, and desire shape it. One of his key texts that I've been diving into is the Book of Pleasure, Self-Love, The Psychology of Ecstasy, which was written in 1913. Now, it is a really interesting read because the way he writes kind of brings you into this liminal state. It can feel a little bit challenging to enter at first because it is more abstract and it flows in a certain way. And so to really get into it takes a little bit of effort. But if you read it and just let it wash over you, I find that a lot of the concepts in there have deep influence with Taoism, Buddhist beliefs, and you can see how his life as an artist really influenced his writings as well. So the core problem, to say this plainly, is that the ego blocks reunification with the Kia, and the only way through is to deliberately access the unconscious. So in his theory, the ego is blocking our connection with the primal consciousness underneath everything, this awareness before the ego. And here's a quote from him that I really love. "The subconscious is an epitome of all experience, wisdom, past incarnations, animals, birds, vegetable life, everything that exists and ever has or will exist." So you can see here that there is this primal force that we have access to and within the subconscious, and yet our conscious mind, our ego, can oftentimes block us from accessing that. Sigil Magic, he found, was the main way to get to access the subconscious mind. This is his biggest practical legacy. And here's a really easy step-by-step method of how to access the subconscious mind through sigil work. So you write down the desire as a short sentence and you strip it out in repeated letters. Then you combine the remaining letters into an abstract glyph. The glyph should no longer look like language. And then, and this is the key part, you need to forget it completely. It's a really crucial step. You need to forget what your initial intention was and what the initial thing you wrote down was, and let the sigil just be its own thing. Forgetting matters because the conscious mind is the skeptical gatekeeper. It is bad at change, and repressed/forgotten material becomes more powerful, not less. So the more that you forget what you originally intended, the more powerful it becomes. The desire sinks in once it is an organic part of the subconscious. So the sigil is an abstract piece that you have to represent this desire that you're wishing to manifest, and it slips past the gatekeeper. So what you need to do once you have your sigil is then to charge it in some way through heightened emotion, through meditation. There's many ways to charge a sigil, but once you have that, then you're letting the imprint of the desire, of the will that you're trying to have manifest in this reality in your subconscious mind. You can come back to it often, look at it, study it, feel it, and even dream about it. I do a lot of work with lucid dreaming and dreamwork, and when I create a sigil, I like to put it by my bedside and then have the intention to actually have it manifest in some way in my dream time. And then I'll write down the next morning what I dreamt about. And it might not be as clear or as direct as seeing the sigil in the dream, although that has happened sometimes. But sometimes I'll look back on my dream and see how the intention or the feeling of the sigil then came in a symbolic way into my dreams. And this is when I know that it's really landed in the subconscious mind. And I don't need to worry anymore in my conscious mind about trying to manifest this thing. I let that manifestation desire go completely, and I know that the sigil is doing work on the subconscious level. It's really interesting, the parallels of this work with modern hypnosis, because modern hypnosis gets beyond the critical faculty, the conscious mind, like we're talking about, and it is able to get into the subconscious mind as well when you work with a hypnotherapist or when you go on self-hypnosis journeys. And so, because hypnosis bypasses the critical faculty via relaxation, rapport, and misdirection, it is very similar to the sigil work where Spare was able to bypass it via abstraction and deliberate forgetting. It's an identical mechanism structurally, but through a different door. So the subconscious is able to accept the thing that you're trying to manifest or implant in it, and then the conscious mind is able to completely forget or release that desire. Peter Carroll is another very famous chaos magician and author about these subjects, and he built on Spare's works. It was really the birth of chaos magic. A founding idea is that the traditional occultist practices were too religious, too hierarchical, and to democratize it for everyone, they stripped it down and let it be one's own creation. You are not having to follow specific protocols or pathways. You are creating a pathway into your subconscious mind through these works. Carroll wrote that belief itself is the only tool for achieving efforts. It's not an end in and of itself. Chaos magicians have a really radical claim that it doesn't matter if you use a Norse myth, Jungian archetypes, Lovecraft, or just scribble. What matters is function. Does it focus attention? Does it bypass the skeptical mind? Does it embed intention into the unconscious? As I said earlier, Spare was influenced by Daoist thought, and I can really see that. One quote from the Tao Te Ching says, "The way never acts, yet nothing is left undone." It's about this effortless action, the Wu Wei, being able to get yourself into a flow where you're no longer striving to manifest, striving to achieve your goals. You're working in harmony with your subconscious mind to intentionally implant specific ideas in there and then let them work you. You are able then to release the conscious mind from having to worry about and think about your manifestation, and the subconscious is constantly driving our actions, whether we're aware of it or not. Oftentimes we have beliefs implanted into our subconscious mind that are actually undermining our truest potential, our best lives. They may be ideas and beliefs that we picked up along the way in our childhood, throughout our adult life, that are undermining what we really want. So the work is to go in there and be able to root out the negative beliefs or the false beliefs that we're carrying with us and put in a true intention of what we want to achieve in our lives, and then let the subconscious do its job. Let it run the script, and we will find that we are then more naturally magnetized towards opportunities and things that we do want. For example, if we want a relationship and we know what our ideal partner would be like, again, from the conscious mind, we might make a list, we might think about it every night, think about it all the time, and yet we are undermining that. Consciously, we are working with it and thinking, oh, but what if this person doesn't like me back? Or, oh, this person has all these qualities, but what if they don't have these qualities? You can see how the logical mind is constantly grappling with contradictions. If you make a sigil around the energetic imprint that you want of a person, and then you're able to just forget about it. Use the sigil to implant it in your subconscious mind, and then forget the conscious will. Don't constantly obsess over what you want in a person. Ooh, is this person right? Is this person wrong for me? What should I do in this interaction with my potential relationship? Forget all of that, and instead just know and trust that you will be magnetized towards the energies that you have intentionally focused within your sigil. It's so powerful. I've already seen how this technology has worked in my own life, using sigils, seeing them appear in my dreams, and then watching over the course of time how I am manifesting the things that I really want through this powerful technique. If you add on dreamwork and lucid dreaming to all of this, you just take it a whole step further, because you can see how your dreams are speaking to you in a symbolic language, giving you clues about what ideas are in the subconscious mind that might need rooting out. If you see a lot of dreams and nightmarish situations that relate to certain social interactions or relate to relational patterns, then you can work with those consciously to dissect those beliefs that have been put in that are not your own, and to work through them through your own shadow work. And then you can see also if the sigils that you are putting into your subconscious mind are working through your dreams as well. And if you're having more positive dreams, if you're having dreams that are actually showing you or giving you a felt sense of what you're hoping to manifest in your waking reality, that's when you know the perfect balancing of these forces has come through, and that you're well on the path to manifesting exactly what you want in your life. If you want to learn more about dream work and lucid dreaming work, we have a whole slew of courses and free resources on our website, luciddreaminglucidliving.com, and we also have a fuller article about Austin Osman Spare and all of his work, and comparing it to the Tao Te Ching, to Taoism, and how he founded and formulated this wonderful system to work with the subconscious. So I hope you try out this technique and let me know how it works for you in the comments. Have you experimented with sigils before? Have you seen your subconscious mind being able to actually manifest what you want in your life? Let me know. And until next time, happy dreaming.